Joining us now is Adam Schiff. He is the chairman of the Intelligence Committee in the House. Sir, thank you so much for making time tonight. I really appreciate you being here.
It's a pleasure.
So I imagine that you probably had access to the classified version of this report. I'm sure that you knew that the unclassified version was coming. I didn't. I'm stunned by the level of detail and by the schemes that are described here. Let me just start by asking you if I've described any of it wrong or if I'm looking at any of this the wrong way around, as far as you can tell.
No, not at all. And actually, we did know it was coming because we wrote the requirement in our intelligence bill that they publish this report, just as we required that the report into the murder of Jamal Khashoggi be made public. The public has a right to know. And when that information can be disclosed without compromising sources and methods, it should know. And there was another salutary purpose behind it, Rachel, which is we knew that the Trump administration was politicizing the intelligence. As you pointed out, Ratcliffe was misleading the public by hyping the threat from China. So was Bill Barr and others in the administration. The requirement that a report be declassified was an attempt to at least try to hold them accountable so that they would know at some point those deceptions would be exposed. And here, the deception was, quite breathtaking. China had not made the decision to intervene. Russia had, and it was actively engaged, including using that same Kremlin intelligence agent, Konstantin Kilimnik, who had been secretly meeting 4 years earlier with Paul Manafort. What really distinguished the efforts to work with the Russians in 2020 compared to 2016 is in 2016, the Trump campaign tried to hide it. In 2020, having beaten the first impeachment trial, they were quite overt about their efforts.
In terms of what the public knows here, and I take your point about how much it matters to us and how much it matters in terms of accountability around these issues, that because of what you wrote into those laws, we, the public, are allowed to see this now. But it seems to me, and I may remember this wrong, but it seems to me that during election season heading into 2020, the Trump administration was keeping cards quite close to the vest in terms of not briefing Congress and certainly not briefing the public about what were then ongoing foreign influence operations by Russia to try to influence the 2020 election. They must have been aware at the time some of these influence operations were happening. Did they take steps to prevent the public from knowing what they knew? Because we would then recognize that some of these Russian influence operations were actually getting an assist from people close to the president.
Yes. I think in briefings to Congress, some of the, compromised leadership of the intelligence community gave briefings that were dissembling, that were trying to equate the threat of interference from China and Russia, or elevate even the threat from China over that from Russia. And we were seeing the intelligence reports, the analysis, so we knew that they were misleading. We said publicly that we disagreed with what Bill Barr was saying and John Ratcliffe, but we couldn't show you the evidence. Now we can. And, this is what has to be guarded against in the future. This report, these analyses actually were written by intelligence professionals during the Trump administration, but of course they were concealed. Now this is being put out in a very no-nonsense report. The President of the United States is preparing to bring about sanctions on Russia over its interference and other malign activities. That is as it should be. And our best defense against this in the future, because the report makes clear the Russians haven't stopped doing this, they're not going to stop doing this. The best defense is for both parties to commit to reject foreign interference, no matter who it helps. That consensus has been missing. It wasn't possible with Donald Trump, but we need to try to find it now.
If there were U.S. officials or U.S. persons who were briefed by the intelligence community or briefed by law enforcement that they were being fed disinformation that was part of a foreign influence operation targeting our election. If there were people who were warned, you are being targeted by an intelligence operation that is targeting the United States to try to influence our election, and those people, after being warned, knowingly continued to participate in those operations, Is that potentially a criminal act? Is that something that those U.S. persons or indeed U.S. officials might have trouble with the criminal law, about which they might have trouble with the criminal law if investigations follow along the lines as what's described in this report?
Yes, very similar to what Bob Mueller looked at. You can commit conspiracy to defraud, for example, U.S. elections, or conspiracy to violate U.S. campaign laws by receiving foreign opposition research or derogatory information, whether it's truthful or untruthful. The difficulty is in the proof. Mueller's team had evidence, as you pointed out, that Paul Manafort, the campaign chairman for Donald Trump 4 years ago, was secretly meeting with Konstantin Kilimnik, an agent of the Kremlin, and giving them inside polling data from the campaign. Now, that was at a time when the Kremlin was doing a clandestine social media campaign to help Donald Trump. And that polling data, of course, would be very useful to someone doing a clandestine social media operation to know what messages to use, to know what audiences to target, what states were critical. So they had evidence of that kind of collusion 4 years ago, but not enough to prove the crime of conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt. Here, someone like Rudy Giuliani may have to worry about that, but he's more likely to have to worry about more easily proven offenses like failure to register as someone representing a foreign power or their own violation of campaign laws. And I think what prosecutors tend to do is pick the charges that are most easily proven.
Congressman Adam Schiff, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Thank you. Thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for having made sure that we, the public, and we, the press, could see reporting like this from the intelligence community. I know you had to do that by getting it into law, but on a night like this, it's really paying off in terms of our understanding. Thank you.
Thank you.